He was born the year Halley's Comet appeared, and he died the day it returned. In between, he became the father of American literature. His name was Mark Twain, but his real name was Samuel Clemens. And his life? It was stranger than fiction. Samuel Clemens was born in 1835 in a tiny village called Florida, Missouri. He was the sixth of 7 children, but only 3 survived to adulthood. Death was a constant companion from the start. When he was 4, his family moved to Hannibal, a small port town on the Mississippi River. This little town would later become the famous St. Petersburg in the adventures of Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. But Hannibal wasn't just idyllic. Young Sam witnessed violence and death. He saw a man murdered. He saw the cruelty of slavery. Those images stayed with him forever. When Sam was just 11, his father died of pneumonia. The family was left with almost nothing. Sam had to leave school after the 5th grade. He became a printer's apprentice. For the next several years, he worked as a typesetter in New York, in Philadelphia, in St. Louis. He educated himself in public libraries at night, reading everything he could find. He once said, "I never let my schooling interfere with my education." But Sam had a dream. He wanted to be a steamboat pilot on the Mississippi River. In his words, pilot was the grandest position of all. The pilot had a princely salary. In 1857, he convinced a famous pilot named Horace Bixby to teach him. Sam paid $500, a huge sum back then, and spent 2 years learning every mile of the river between St. Louis and New Orleans. He had to memorize the shape of the river, the currents, the hidden rocks, even in the dark. This is where his pen name came from. Mark Twain was the call for safe water, 2 fathoms deep, 12 feet, enough for the boat to pass safely. While training, Sam helped his younger brother Henry get a job on the same steamboat. But in 1858, the boat's boiler exploded. Henry was badly injured. He died 8 days later. Sam was devastated. He blamed himself. He had dreamed of Henry's death a month before it happened, and that haunted him for the rest of his life. The guilt never fully left. When the Civil War broke out in 1861, river traffic stopped. Sam briefly joined a Confederate militia, but only for 2 weeks. Then he quit and headed west with his brother Orion, who had been appointed Secretary of the Nevada Territory. They traveled by stagecoach for more than 2 weeks across the Great Plains. Sam later wrote about this journey in a book called Roughing It in Nevada. Sam tried to become a silver miner. He failed. He failed completely. He later joked about it. A miner's life was a hard life, and a hard life produces lying. He had to find another way. So he went back to what he knew, newspapers. He started writing for the Virginia City Territorial Enterprise. And on February 3rd, 1863, he first signed his work with the name the world would come to know, Mark Twain. In 1865, Twain wrote a short story called The Celebrated Jumping Frog of Calaveras County. It was published in a New York newspaper, and it made him famous overnight. But he didn't stop. He traveled to Hawaii, to Europe, to the Middle East. He wrote about everything he saw. His first book, The Innocents Abroad, became a nationwide bestseller. In 1870, he married Olivia Langdon, the daughter of a wealthy New York businessman. He called her the best girl and the sweetest and gentlest. They settled in Hartford, Connecticut, and had 4 children. But tragedy followed. Their only son, Langdon, died of diphtheria at just 19 months old. Despite the pain, Twain kept writing. In 1876, he published The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. In 1884, he published what many call the Great American Novel, Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Ernest Hemingway later said, "All modern American literature comes from one book by Mark Twain called Huckleberry Finn." But Twain was not just a writer, he was also an investor, and a terrible one. He poured over $300,000 into a typesetting machine called the Page Compositor. It failed. He invested in a publishing house. It went bankrupt. In 1894, Mark Twain declared bankruptcy. He owed a fortune. At 59 years old, he had lost almost everything most people would have given up. But not Twain. He could have walked away. Bankruptcy meant he didn't have to pay. But he said, "I made the money myself. I will pay it myself." He went on a worldwide lecture tour, Australia, New Zealand, India, South Africa. He spoke to packed houses everywhere, and he earned enough to pay back every single creditor. But life kept taking from him. In 1896, while he was touring, his favorite daughter, Susie, died of meningitis. She was 24. Twain was heartbroken. He wrote, "It is one of the mysteries of our nature that a man, all unprepared, can receive a thunderstroke like that and live." His wife, Livy, died in 1904 after a long illness. His youngest daughter, Jean, died of a heart attack in 1909. Remember Halley's Comet? Twain was born when it appeared in 1835. In 1909, he said, "I came in with Halley's Comet in 1835. It's coming again next year, and I expect to go out with it. The Almighty has said, no doubt. Now here are these two unaccountable freaks. They came in together. They must go out together." On April 21st, 1910, the day after the comet was closest to Earth, Mark Twain died of a heart attack. He was 74 years old. So what can we learn from Mark Twain? In 1887, he wrote a letter to a friend. And in that letter, he shared the secret to success. He wrote, "All you need in this life is ignorance and confidence, and then success is sure." Think about that. Ignorance, not knowing that something is impossible, and confidence, believing you can do it anyway. Twain didn't say success comes from talent, or luck, or money. He said it comes from not knowing you can't and believing you can. His own life proved it. He failed as a miner. He failed in business. He went bankrupt. He lost children. But he never stopped writing, never stopped believing, never stopped starting. What will you start today? What impossible thing will you try with ignorance and confidence? This is Milo from Daily Success Habits. Remember, the secret of getting ahead is getting started, and sometimes not knowing it's impossible is the only advantage you need.